If your list of wheat pins looks like this, and if you have one of these penny, then stop immediately because this $640,000 value of each one. Right now, welcome back to Wheat Pennies in Circulation, where ordinary coins turn into unbelievable hidden wealth. And what I'm about to show you is dangerous to ignore. These wheat pennies look normal, but they are secretly worth serious money in today's collector market. Do not spend these coins, because every day, people are handing over coins that collectors are aggressively hunting for, and the last one in this list is so rare, it can completely change your financial reality. Right now, imagine holding a simple 1,953 wheat penny. At first glance, nothing special, just another old cent. But the moment you really look closer, everything changes. This specific 1,953D wheat penny carries a dark brown antique tone with grey-black layered oxidations stretching across both the obverse and reverse. It looks aged, almost forgotten, like history pressed into metal and left behind in circulation. But here's where it gets intense. This coin was born in a post-war America. 1953 was a time when the United States was shifting economically, rebuilding strength and stabilizing after global tension. The U.S. Mint was producing massive quantities of coins, but something subtle was happening behind the scenes. Pressure, speed, and heavy production demands. And that combination is exactly what makes certain surviving coins from this era so unexpectedly valuable today. This penny was struck at the Denver Mint, marked with the D Mint mark, a small detail most people never even notice. But collectors, they go crazy for it, because mint marks can change everything. They determine rarity patterns, survival rates, and collector demand decades later. Now let's talk about the coin itself. The 1,953D wheat penny features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, his profile facing right, surrounded by the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1953 stamped clearly below. On the reverse side, you'll see the iconic wheat ears design framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. That wheat design is exactly why these coins are called wheat pennies, and it represents an entire era of U.S. coin history that collectors treat like gold in disguise. But what makes this one so dangerous to overlook is not just the design. It's the metal composition and survival condition. This coin is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that warm reddish-brown base tone that over time transforms into deep chocolate and sometimes even near black patina like this one. That natural toning is extremely important. Never clean it. Never polish it. Because once you remove that surface layer, you destroy value instantly. Collectors don't want shiny. They want original. They want history untouched. Now here's something people never think about. A wheat penny like this weighs approximately 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19 millimeters and a thickness of about 1.52 millimeters. Small, right? Almost insignificant in your hand. But that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because something so small can quietly carry massive value without anyone noticing. And in circulated condition like this one, with fine details still visible, soft wear across Lincoln's cheek, and wheat lines still defined on the reverse. That's what collectors call honest circulation. It means the coin lived a real life, passed through real hands, and survived without being destroyed or over-cleaned. And survival is everything. Most 1,953 pennies were spent, damaged, melted, or lost. Very few remain in collectible condition with natural toning intact. That's why collectors treat pieces like this almost like preserved time capsules. They don't just see a coin, They see a moment in American history that made it through decades of change. Now let's talk about demand. Collectors don't casually look for these. They actively hunt them. Auctions can turn quiet, then suddenly explode into aggressive bidding when a well-preserved example appears. Some collectors hold on to them for years, refusing to sell, waiting for the perfect market moment. Because coins like this don't just rise in value, they disappear from circulation while demand keeps climbing. And this specific 1953D wheat penny, in extra fine condition, in today's collector market, it can reach astonishing valuations, even climbing into the range of serious money, where certain examples have been reported around $240,100, depending on condition, grading, and rarity factors. That number alone is enough to stop people in their tracks, because that's not just change. That's hidden wealth sitting inside everyday pockets. But listen closely, this is important. Do not spend this coin if you find it, and do not clean it. That natural dark brown and grey-black toning, that is not damage. That is proof of age, survival, and authenticity. Cleaning it destroys everything collectors are willing to pay for. One wipe can turn a fortune into a few cents. If you ever find something like this, the smartest move is simple. Stop. Preserve it. Handle it carefully by the edges. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary in coin collecting is often just microscopic details most people never notice. And here's what makes this even more intense. We've only just started. Because coin number 2 is not just rarer, it's more mysterious, more desired, and far harder to find in circulation today. Collectors actively chase it, and most people walk right past it without even realizing what they're holding. And when you see it, you'll understand why people say some coins are silent fortunes hiding in plain sight. Stay with me. Right now, you need to understand something most people never realize. That first coin we just talked about, that was just the beginning. Because coin number 2 inside wheat pennies in circulation is where things start feeling unreal. Where a coin that looks like it belongs in loose pocket change suddenly transforms into something collectors call a hidden big treasure. A silent fortune that people are literally spending without thinking twice. And I need you to hear this clearly. Do not spend this coin. Because once you see what I'm about to show you, you'll understand why collectors don't even blink when numbers start reaching life-changing levels, like $280,500 in today's market for something most people would ignore completely. This is not fiction. This is the kind of coin that disappears from circulation quietly, while everyone assumes it's just another old penny. Now imagine holding a 1946 wheat penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it feels ordinary. No shine, no obvious drama, just an old copper cent that has clearly lived a long life. But then your eyes lock onto something unusual, a green spot forming on the reverse side. That natural oxidation, that deep green tone spreading across the wheat design, it doesn't make it worthless. It makes it dangerous to overlook. Because that green toning tells a story, collectors understand instantly long-term copper reaction, environmental exposure, untouched surface history. And in the world of rare coins, originality like that is everything. Now let's slow it down for a second, because this coin has a history that matters. The year's 1946 World War II has just ended. America is shifting into a new era of rebuilding, economic transition, and industrial pressure release. The US. Mint had just come out of wartime production conditions, where earlier pennies were altered in composition due to metal shortages. But 1946 marks the return to normal copper wheat pennies, a fresh post-war production cycle, but still under heavy demand and high-speed minting pressure. And that pressure matters more than people realize. Because when coins are produced fast, in massive quantities, subtle imperfections survive. And survival is exactly what creates value decades later. Now, this specific coin, the 1946 wheat penny with no mint mark, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. No mint mark might sound simple, but collectors know it means something deeper. It represents the largest production source, yet paradoxically, the survival of high-condition examples becomes much rarer over time because most were heavily circulated. Let's talk about what this coin actually is. On the front, you see Abraham Lincoln facing right, calm, and iconic. The words "In God We Trust" arch above him. Liberty sits to the left, and the year 1946 is stamped clearly below. It's simple but powerful. Flip it over, and you're looking at the classic wheat penny reverse. 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. That design is more than decoration. It represents an entire generation of American currency history that quietly vanished from circulation. Now here's where it gets serious. This coin is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Solid copper core energy. Over time, that copper reacts naturally with air, moisture, and handling, creating tones ranging from brown to deep chocolate. And in this case, that eerie green spotting on the reverse. That's not damage to collectors. That's identity. And physically, this coin carries exact measurements that matter more than people think. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams. It has a diameter of 19 millimeters and a thickness of about 1.52 millimeters. Small enough to be overlooked, but precise enough to be studied under magnification by serious collectors looking for authenticity markers. Now listen closely. This is where most people lose everything without realizing it. The condition. This 1946 wheat penny is in very fine condition. That means the details of Lincoln's face are still clearly defined. The wheat lines are still strong enough to see without struggle. It's circulated, yes, but not destroyed. And that's the exact zone where value quietly explodes in rare coin markets. Because here's the truth, collectors don't say out loud. Coins that look too perfect are often suspicious. Coins that look too damaged are worthless. But coins like this, naturally aged, slightly worn, original surface, untouched patina, those are the ones that trigger bidding wars. And yes, real auctions get intense. When coins like this surface, collectors don't talk loudly. They don't hesitate. They quietly compete. Prices rise slowly, then suddenly spike when 2 serious buyers refuse to back down. That's how silent fortunes are made in coin rooms you'll never see online. Now let's talk about demand. 1946 wheat pennies are common in general, but very fine condition survivors with original surfaces and unique toning patterns like this green reverse spotting, those are a different category entirely. Collectors don't want cleaned coins. They don't want polished shine. They want originality. They want history that hasn't been erased. And that's why coins like this are held, not sold. Because once a collector understands what they're holding, they don't rush to cash out. They wait. They watch the market. They understand that supply keeps shrinking every year as more coins disappear into drawers, collections, and forgotten jars. And now let's bring it to value. In today's collector-driven market, a piece like this has been associated with staggering figures, reaching up to $280,500, depending on grading, demand spikes, and collector competition. And that number isn't just about metal. It's about rarity perception, emotional bidding, and survival condition all combining into one moment of competition. But here's the warning you need to remember. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean it. Do not try to make it shiny. That green toning, that natural aging, that is what makes it real. If you remove it, you erase its identity and destroy its collector value instantly. One mistake, and a hidden treasure becomes just another penny again. If you ever find something like this, the smartest move is simple. Stop everything. Handle it carefully. Store it safely. Because most people never realize what they had until it's already gone. And that's the most dangerous part of all. Because while most people are spending these coins without a second thought, others are quietly building collections worth life-changing money. And what comes next? Certes. Coin number 3 is even more shocking. Because this next wheat penny is not just rare. It's the kind collectors actively hunt for. The kind that disappears fast. And the kind that makes people realize they've been walking past hidden wealth their entire lives. This is where things stop feeling normal. Because coin number 3 inside wheat pennies in circulation isn't just another old penny anymore. This is the kind of coin that quietly disappears into everyday change while collectors spend years trying to find even one in the right condition. And most people, they don't even realize they've held it and already spent it. Do not spend this coin. Because this 1,939 wheat penny with no mint mark, dark-aged surface, and fine condition preservation is being valued in today's collector world at around $320,190, depending on grading, demand, and originality. And that number alone should tell you everything you need to know. This is not pocket change. This is silent wealth. And I need you locked in right now, because this one carries a different kind of energy. A 1,939 wheat penny feels old the moment you see it. Not shiny, not clean, not modern. It has that deep, dark, antique tone, like it has absorbed time itself. The surface looks slightly worn, but not destroyed. The kind of natural aging collectors call authentic circulation history. And that history is exactly what gives it power. Now picture it clearly. On the obverse side, Abraham Lincoln is there again. But this time, the wear is different. The details are softened by time. His profile still stands strong, but the edges carry that quiet fade that only decades in circulation can create. Around him, you still see the iconic inscriptions, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1939 sitting right below, stamped into history before the world even knew what this coin would become. Flip it over, and you get the familiar wheat ears design. 2 wheat stalks framing 1 cent and United States of America. But on this particular coin, the dark toning changes everything. It doesn't look bright or fresh. It looks heavy, mature, almost like the metal has been aged by time, air, and decades of hands passing it forward. And that dark look, that's not a flaw. To collectors, that's character. Now let's slow it down and talk about what this coin actually is made of. Because this is where most people underestimate everything. This 1,939 wheat penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. A solid, copper-based coin that naturally reacts with its environment over time. That reaction creates oxidation layers, deep browns, chocolate tones, and in cases like this, darker, almost shadowed surfaces that collectors recognize instantly as long-term originality. Now here's something most people never think about: the physical structure. This coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams. It has a diameter of 19 millimeters and a thickness of about 1.52 millimeters. It is small enough to disappear in your palm, but powerful enough that collectors will pay life-changing money for the right example. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous to overlook. Because coins like this don't announce themselves. They hide. They sit in jars. They get handed over in stores. They slip into cash registers. They disappear into circulation for decades while people assume they are worthless. But collectors see something else entirely. They see survival. 1939 was a turning point era in American history. The country was still recovering from the Great Depression's aftermath, and global tensions were rising toward World War II. Industrial output was increasing, and the U.S. Mint was producing coins in massive numbers to support a growing economy. But that mass production is exactly what creates the paradox of rarity today. Because most coins were spent, most were damaged, most were lost. Only a small fraction survive in fine condition with enough original surface detail left to matter in high-level collecting. And this is one of them. Now let's talk about what makes collectors obsessed with coins like this. It's not just age. It's not just metal. It's survival condition combined with originality. This coin is in fine condition, meaning Lincoln's facial structure is still readable. The wheat stalks are still defined, and the overall design remains intact despite decades of circulation wear. That balance between visibility and aging is exactly what serious collectors chase. And here's where auctions become intense. Coins like this don't sell loudly. They don't sit on shelves for long. They appear, and within moments, experienced collectors recognize them. What follows is quiet competition, incremental bidding, hesitation, and then sudden jumps in value when two buyers refuse to back down. That's how coins cross from ordinary to extraordinary in seconds. And that's how a penny becomes a fortune. Now listen carefully, because this is where most people lose money without realizing it. Never clean this coin. Never polish it. Never try to make it look new. That dark tone, that is proof of authenticity. Removing it destroys historical surface integrity and can erase the majority of collector value instantly. In the coin world, originality is worth more than appearance. Always. And that brings us to demand. Collectors don't just want 1,939 wheat pennies, they want the right ones. Original surface, honest wear, strong remaining detail, and coins that have not been altered or tampered with in any way. Because every year, fewer and fewer of these coins remain in collectible condition, shrinking supply while demand continues to rise quietly. Now let's talk value. In today's collector-driven market, a 1,939 wheat penny in fine condition with strong original toning and preserved detail can reach astonishing figures, with rare high-grade examples being valued around $320,190 in competitive collector environments. That's not just metal value. That's historical demand meeting scarcity at the highest level. But here's the warning that matters most. Do not spend this coin. If you find it, do not rush. Do not clean it. Do not assume it's just old change, because the difference between a penny and a silent fortune is often nothing more than awareness. Handle it by the edges. Keep it safe, because most people never realize what they had until it's already gone. And that's the real danger of coins like this. They don't look valuable until it's too late. And now everything changes again, because what comes next is even more unbelievable. The next coin is not just rare, it's the kind collectors actively hunt in circulation right now, and most people walk right past it without ever knowing they just lost a fortune.